Hi, so my name's Fani, and I'll be doing my research essay presentation on how interior design differs in geographical climates. So this is just an overview of what I'll be talking about in my presentation, such as my topic, building designs, adapting to climate change, interior design in Japan, South Africa, and Rio de Janeiro. The similarities and differences in interior design between my chosen countries, and just a little conclusion of what I've learned, and just seeing how interior design is like in all the different countries, just sum it all up. So, my topic, how interior design differs in geographical climates. So, the reason why I chose this topic because just to grow more as an interior designer and to learn more, I think it's important to see what interior design is like in other countries, how they use the same practices, what other countries, how have they advanced far into interior design, and how they use sustainable materials, and just how interior design is different in their country and their geographical climate compared to other countries, and how they have to have a lot of considerations when designing a lot of different things due to their climate. I just want to also compare the similarities and differences between my chosen countries as well. So I just wanted to do a little touch up on climate change because it is becoming a huge issue in the world, and it's something that we have to tackle. And when you're designing something, it's very important to be very sustainable as well, using a lot of sustainable materials, a lot of sustainable practices, just to minimize the environmental impact. So, just to do a little definition on climate change, is obviously due to human activities, like such as greenhouse toxic gases. The burning fossil fuels, carbon dioxide is trapped in the atmosphere, resulting in the rise in temperature in the earth. So when you're designing for a rather like harsh geographical climate in a country, you also have to consider climate change as well. So that adds like another layer of design considerations, because climate change is evolving and changing, and it's affecting a lot of temperatures throughout the world. So you have to definitely take that into consideration for sure with the country's actual climate as well, and see how that changes and evolves throughout time. So it's important to make sure that your design is a successful design. So for our first country, I'm going to be discussing Japan. It's one of my favorite countries personally, and it's a place I want to go to one day and travel. So I find it a very interesting country. They have beautiful, beautiful architecture and culture. And so Japan is located in northern eastern, the northern eastern hemisphere. The capital city is Tokyo and has over 100 million people in their population. They have the four seasons: winter, spring, summer, and fall. So for like winter, their temperature is usually like 10 degrees, and then their spring is like 20 degrees typically. And then for their interior spaces, interior design, they need a lot of movable objects, a lot of movable furnitures, a lot of functional spaces, and they do a lot of similar practices. Due to like it being an overpopulated country, there isn't that many environmentally friendly places. There's a lot of toxic gases in the air. So if you ever notice, there's a lot of people who will wear face masks out in public just so they aren't breathing in the toxic air, even indoors as well sometimes. And then for the functional spaces part, there's a lot of large families, a lot of large families living in small spaces. So they have to have a lot of functional spaces that can suit up to large families, especially from different age demographics and different generations. So another consideration, Japan is located in an area where there's a lot of natural disasters such as earthquakes and tsunamis. So basically, tsunami is just a huge, high velocity wave of water that crashes onto land and um, typically damage a lot of houses, buildings through flooding, um, and then earthquakes. Obviously, they're earth plate tectonic shifting, and they causing a rumble in the earth. And so, also when designing, especially buildings, um, they have to build tsunami resistant buildings, especially. Um, so they're designed to have vertical evacuation areas with the use of steel frames and or reinforced concrete. A few other factors in creating a successful tsunami resistant building, it includes deep constructing foundations so that there is less of a chance of the building collapsing. Especially a lot of buildings are being built on stilts as well, as you can see here in this image right here. Because when the tsunami, it typically floods high, it keeps elevating. It just helps keep the building in place and just kind of avoids any tsunami flooding in the process as well. So I'm going to touch base on South Africa. I'm going to find a lot of information on the interior design in South Africa. But basically it's located on the bottom half of the continent of Africa. So depending on like the area, such as like Cape Town, the temperature is typically around like 17 degrees Celsius. Their interior design is majorly based off of nature and sustainability, including like interior decorating as well. The natural, sustainable materials used include clay, stones, and leaves. Wood is a very popular sustainable material in the interior design world. It's become a huge trend, so that is something that they use all the time with their furniture, their ceilings a lot, especially with their furniture, because you're able to carve it, the wood, kind of bend to shapes a little bit. It's very sustainable and great material to use for sure. Okay, then my last country is Rio de Janeiro. So Rio is a state located in the southeastern region of Brazil, and it is a metro city with about 70 other municipal cities as well. It's in a very tropical climate due to its surroundings of forests. Usually their average temperature is around like 28 degrees, so close to 30 degrees, very, very hot climate. Yeah, because it is in a tropical place. So a lot of their buildings and architecture and their interior design, since they are in a very environmentally friendly place, they do have a lot of forests. They're very nature friendly, a very natural environment. So when you look at their interior design and architecture, you can definitely see that they've really practiced that through adding a lot of nature, a lot of sustainable practices, a lot of sustainable qualities and materials, just to really bring that nature look. So we're looking at this one condominium building. It is a good successful of architecture and interior design. So it has access to natural sunlight and plants. It strays away from a lot of the traditional apartment building looks when they're just made of concrete and there's not a lot of exposed sunlight for the residents. But with this building, it's more livable for the residences. This makes it more comfortable for them with a lot of of natural sunlight and having a lot of plants, it also increases more good air quality. So a quote from the landscape architect Renata Tilly. She says, "iCaro presents a new way of looking at architecture. Our goal is to make sure that there is vegetation everywhere in a way that people can look at in a new way, where the focus will be nature, not concrete. The landscape invades the building, not the other way around." So basically, just to talk about her quote, yes, so Rio is a very tropical country, and they obviously value nature and the natural environment. So they really do heavily incorporate that into their interior design practices, which is completely great, and it really speaks back to sustainable practices for interior design, which is such a huge thing. So just the similarities and differences I found throughout my chosen countries: Japan, South Africa, and Rio. So like for Japan, a lot of their their building designs are centered towards tsunamis and earthquakes for other natural disasters, but also for very using sustainable materials for their interior designs. South Africa's, they use a lot of sustainable materials, which is a really great thing. Lessens the impacts on the earth for sure. Especially using that wood quality is very sustainable and very eco friendly. And then, and just in my personal opinion, we got Rio over here. They did an amazing job with having a lot of nature incorporated into their work. So just in conclusion, what these countries what they have in common is they all incorporate the use of sustainable practices in their interior design, in their architecture, in their work. Even though they all do come from different geographical climates, they are able to share that quality with one another. Yeah, but I do think that Rio de Janeiro, in my opinion, I think they have like the best interior design philosophies, because you can really see how, like due to their culture, it is a very tropical place. So I can see how they really wanted to incorporate that into their buildings, into their interior design, into their work, to really represent what they are as a country and what they stand for in interior design. And it's way more beneficial for the earth, and just being very sustainable for sure, because that's what you want as an interior designer. And I think that's something to take away for sure, to really understand how other countries may be doing better jobs in their interior design work, and how other countries can learn from it, such as Rio. And that concludes the end of my presentation.